Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Section 5. This is Chris Kramer, your section lead, coming at you with our week one in review. I hope everyone is doing well. We had a good start to the first 8 weeks. I saw a lot of great stuff in the threads, and I'll be encouraging you to continue to interact with each other as we go. I appreciated everyone getting, or almost everyone getting, all their introductions in as quickly as possible. It really was very interesting to read about everyone's backgrounds and to get to know all of you. So again, I appreciate everyone doing that. So I will do this every week, hopefully, barring any serious conflicts. I even will try to get them out earlier than Saturday night. I'll try to do them more in Saturday mornings, but I have some conflicts, soccer coaching, and those kinds of responsibilities sometimes get in my way. And I had a dry needling course today that I was at. So sometimes you'll have to bear with me. Let's move forward to introductions, but we talked about those, the readings. Everybody seemed to have gotten those in Dropbox. So with Dropbox, now this is even new for me, so I just want to, but most of you seem to already know this system and feel fairly comfortable. But if there is not anyone who is feeling comfortable, please let me know. Obviously, I'm going to, even I had screwed up a little bit when I was posting my articles. I shouldn't have put them in week one alpha. I finally moved them to week one, and I will be hyperlinking all of my stuff from week one. So you guys can go back and look at all the articles that I posted in under week one stuff. I posted a presentation I did on empathy that I did for the state chapter of Minnesota, or part of it, actually. It's actually part of it, but I thought a pretty good one. And if you guys wanted to have more information on empathy, plus some of the articles that I already had posted. But if anybody's not getting those, not knowing where to look, if you're not getting the readings or what have you, please do give me a shout, and we'll work it out over phone or via Skype or even through email. But just go ahead and make sure that you're getting all this stuff and let me know. It seems to me that everybody has, so I'm not too worried. But I just want to, again, reach out if there's anyone struggling. So we're going to get right into some of the discussion of the literature this week. I'll do a quick review of the literature, kind of highlighting the things that I thought were important. I'm going to hit some finer points of the posts that I thought were really good and kind of do some housekeeping at the end. So from a communication standpoint, physician, what Tim Flynn had to say: be direct, be specific, keep it succinct. I think that that's really important, communicating with physicians in a very time-conscious way is good. They don't want to hear all the stuff you have to say, as much as you'd love to tell them. The vast majority of them don't want to hear that, but they do want to hear a succinct snapshot of what's happening. And unless there's something egregious going on, it's been my experience, they typically just kind of nod their head in agreement. Patients want to be listened to. They want you to take the time to be present during that, especially that initial evaluation. They need you to demonstrate empathy. They need you to know that they have been heard and understood. A patient encounter, an empathetic encounter, a patient encounter that is successful has been shown that is where a patient feels they're known and understood and that they can trust you. Then they will allow you to give them information, to give them direction, allow you to touch them, to help heal them, whether that's through manual therapy or exercise. Trust is built during that communication, and it is so very important. I've spent years working on my manipulative skills, my manual therapy skills, and in hindsight, going back, if I would have really wanting to be a great manual therapist, I would have started with my listening skills and my empathy, because that is where you build that foundation with your patient. Regional interdependence, I think everybody would agree that regional interdependence is becoming more and more a part of what we do, and we need to look above and below, two joints above and below, and we're going to look at that more as we go through these next 7 weeks. That concept will continue to come up. Asterisk signs, everybody agreed that this was kind of a big deal, that we need to do a lot more retest. Why? As I said in a number of different posts, we need to not only prove to ourselves that we're effective, but we need to prove to the patient that what we do is effective. And we know that intersession change is one of the biggest indicators of success for a treatment package. If you can show change on that first visit, if you demonstrate empathy and show change, man, that's a home run, right? And then the patient, not only do you have a patient who will come back, who will go do what you tell them. They will come back, but then they will speak highly about you, not only to their physician, their friends, their family. They will respect physical therapy on another level. The literature that we read this week, the prevalence of lower extremity injuries. I thought that was really interesting. That article, when looking at the 2009 data, looking at strains and sprains, accounted for 36% of all lower extremity injuries. It's a great opportunity, and obviously a younger population who maybe not always need to have that great communication skill, but they will definitely benefit from our knowledge. That they're going to benefit from us working with them, and that we need to be pushing our skills. The most common incidence for injury was at home at 45%. That's crazy. You almost say, well, I'll just not go home and I'll probably be much safer. When in reality, what we need to do is we need to be, educating, especially the older people, about providing a safe home environment. So, notable posts. I thought Meredith had a great post on understanding of empathy and how to communicate with her patients. I'm sure as a private practice owner, she spends a lot of time making sure that her patients are understood. In private practice, I think you have to perhaps do that. I'm not in private practice, but I know that is a constant concern. It's a constant concern for me, but I think people in private practice are even more sensitive to that. Justin's post on the importance of regional dependence when looking at low back pain and hip mobility. I love he brought in the literature to kind of speak to that. That was really good, and we're going to talk more about that next week. John Garlick, the understanding that hands and head are both important in discussing working with challenging patients. John asked me, what do you do with negative patients? And I responded with, negative patients who are really negative. There's a couple of things that in my mind that you can do. First, you have to understand why they're negative, and you have to get on their side. You have to understand, are they mad at someone? Are they frustrated about their situation? That's where the empathy comes in. I tell my patients, it sucks that you hurt right now. It sucks that you've been living with this. If they can hear you say that, if you can validate their pain, they become less negative. I would also say that you need to set reasonable expectations. If you say, we're going to make all this go away when they've had chronic pain for 20 years, that's not realistic. And you let them down, that's just another reason to be negative. And also I challenged him to a PHQ-2. If you guys are familiar with the depression screen, sometimes negativity is really about a depression and mental health issues, and PHQ-2s are a great way to screen out that risk. We know that depression is a great asterisk sign for problems related to chronicity, and so we want to really eliminate that. I appreciated John kind of pushing back and asking about, it's easy to say these things, to be empathetic or to be listening, but sometimes patients are tough, and the chronic pain people, and even some of the older people, they can be hard, and it's not easy. Ray, the importance of balancing both external and internal validity when analyzing research. Right, what's good for the population versus what's good for your patient versus what's good for the patient population in the study. It's important to be able to step back, and Julie Whitman's discussion about pragmatic studies, efficacious versus expectation, those are all very good ways of trying to, again, step back and look at the literature and how that directly applies to your patient versus the population that you see versus the population that was in the research. All very important. So great points that you guys all brought out. Really appreciate that. Fellows, we've got 4 fellows, and they're all great, and we've got 2 fellows who are just going to be TAing, and those are Jess Ellis and Hallie Geis, and they're going to do a great job. I've already spoken with them, and they're very excited to be working with you guys. What we're going to do is, for the first 2 weeks, Jess is going to be with Charlie, and Hallie is going to be with Delta. I'm going to be with Alpha and Bravo. So you can expect my interactions with Alpha and Bravo, and Charlie and Delta, I'm going to get to you. So just to let you know, and every 2 weeks we'll switch. So I'll go to Charlie and Delta, and Jess and Hallie will switch up to Alpha and Bravo, and I might jump into Charlie and Delta if I get time. If you post on Wednesday and I've gotten to everybody, I'll slide down there if I have time for sure. But for sure, look for that. I would like to encourage nesting threads. I don't know if you guys have done that before. Probably most of you had. Most people that I've talked to like that system. What's a nesting thread? That's if Group Alpha, the first person who posts their original post on Wednesday or Tuesday or whenever, they title it. then the next person to post an original post will just reply to that. And what that does is it keeps everything in one continuous discussion. And I have found that both ways have their advantages, but for me, it's easier to keep track of what everyone's saying if it's all in a nested thread. So if you all wouldn't mind doing that, and if you have any questions, please shoot me an email and I'll do my best to explain it. Lastly, closing out threads and posting on time. Please, 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 to make this course go, I need everybody to, post on Wednesdays. I need everybody to engage in discussion on Thursday, Friday, and not on Saturday at noon. Okay, that's not really going to help anyone. I don't really want to look at it from a grade standpoint. Hopefully we're beyond that we're looking at how we get the best and the most out of this course is by engaging. And so posting at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, now that happens, I get it, but the best time to do it is on Thursday and Friday. And then make sure that you've made sure that you've answered the questions in your post. That's your responsibility. Okay, so looking ahead, week 2, hip disorders, hip OA. Hip OA, lower extremity nerve entrapments, hip and pelvis imaging. It's going to all be good stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. And also, fellow case studies. Now, I know you guys are busy, but these fellows are going to put forward these case studies, and I think that they're a great learning tool, especially if you're a new grad. You don't have to even comment. What I would encourage you to do is just read the thought process, the clinical reasoning, the decision making that goes into why these people are doing what they do. That may help you in your clinical reasoning and decision making, especially if you've only been out for a short time and you're struggling with those tough patients. This is a great opportunity to see a kind of a higher level thought process being played out right before your eyes. I would encourage you to check it out. I think it's well worth that. So they'll have those posted later in the week. If you have any questions, please give me a shout out. I'll answer them as soon as I can, because that's the key to success here. I hope to see you all next week, and have a good day, good night, or good afternoon.